After taking a shot to the face while fighting for a loose ball in the first quarter of Game 2, Draymond Green responded to an arena full of boos as he walked to the Golden State Warriors locker room with a pair of middle fingers for the Grizzlies crowd as he walked into the tunnel to receive stitches for a gashed eye. Draymond doubling down on his reaction to those boo birds.
If you're going to boo somebody who get elbowed in the eye and face running down blood, you should get flipped off. So I'll take the fine. I'll go do an appearance and make up the money. But it felt really good to flip them off. If you're going to boo someone that get elbowed in the eye and blood running down your face, I could have had a concussion or anything. So if they're gonna be that nasty, I can be nasty too. And I'm assuming the cheers was because they know I'll get fined. Great, I make $25 million a year. I should be just fine.
Ooh, burned up. 25 mil. All right, I'm looking at you here, Matt.
Oh, he's so hard to root for. Oh,
okay,
God,
so I guess you have an issue.
Just shut up and play, will you please? America's tired of Draymond Green. And I deal with them constantly. The fans, they're not, San Francisco fans, different story. Oh, they're totally tired of listen. Should be quiet and play. And we all know he's got a great skill set for that team, but who in the world is sitting there? He's so polarizing, I can't root for him. I understand how good he is, I can't root for him. Now, listen, they booed him. The fans boo, and they're fickle. Fans boo all the time. Guys get hurt, not hurt. They boo. They don't really mean anything by it. They boo. That's what they do. They boo. I don't think anybody thought he was, he wasn't carried off on a stretcher.
Stitches,
I mean, geez, the Kansas City fan, when Castle was taken off the field on a stretcher, they booed him. They boo all. That's what fans do. They spend $1,000 to go to these games, and they boo. I mean, you let it go one ear and out the other.
They were cheering.
Well, the same principle. You know what I'm saying? The same principle. I mean, they booed Castle walking off the field when he had a stretcher for the chief quarterback, if you remember correctly, about 7 or 8 years ago. This is what fans do. And then they tell us how much money he makes. Oh, nobody wants to hear it. Pipe down. Nobody wants to hear it. You make $25 million. Big. Whoop-de-doo. You make $25 million a year. You make $25 million.
I do not. You do.
You made that kind of money in your career. Enough already. God, enough.
Well, first of all, a couple of things. Number one, he don't make more money than you. So let's throw, let's throw that out the way right now.
He does.
He ain't Mad Dog Russo.
He makes a lot more than I do.
So don't hate on the paper. Don't hate on the paper. Number two, who's your favorite baseball team?
The San Francisco Giants.
And when you a San Francisco Giants fan with Barry Bonds on the team? When did you?
I was.
When did you? So let me get this straight. So
when he's on my team, I can put up with it.
Oh, I see. So I get it. So because he's on your team, it don't matter what he does. But because you ain't necessarily a Golden State Warriors fan,
there is something to that.
I'm just sick of this guy. I mean, please stop it. The fact of the matter is, Draymond Green is being unfairly crucified by the likes of you, okay?
I'm not allowed to have an opinion?
No, you're allowed to have an opinion. Of course you are. I just respectfully disagree with it, and I think it's excessive. Because the fact of the matter is that it ain't his job to get along with the Memphis Grizzlies fans. They're the enemies. He's trying to take them out. Okay, and he did have a good point. Now, you could sit up there and say he didn't need to give them the bird, and all right, I got that. That was may have been a bit excessive. But listen to the point he made. I'm on the ground. I got blood streaming down my face. And y'all cheering about that? You don't know what kind of condition I would have been in. So that was highly offensive to him. And so he offended them. He offended them back. He didn't offend the fan base that supports him all the time, that's rooting for him in San Francisco and the Bay Area. He offended the enemy. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Let's hear from the former player who's been in situations like this.
I want to take a little umbrage with the shut up and play, because that has the same sort of connotations that the shut up and dribble crowd has towards athletes, and I have a real problem with that. And specifically with Draymond, the idea that America is tired of him. You do realize the guy has a very, very popular podcast that he hosts where he talks himself for a majority of the episode, and people listen to that. He signed a talent deal with Turner because people want to hear what Draymond has to say.
That's true.
The reason they want to hear what Draymond has to say is because, just like in this press conference, he is real, authentic, and unfiltered. And as a player, he is real, authentic, and unfiltered. The edge that he carries himself with, he's talked about this since game one. Klay Thompson has talked about this since game one. It's what makes him great. It's what makes him a future Hall of Famer. It's the reason he is who he is. It's just like saying, hey, Ja Morant, stop dancing when your teammate's making a three. The reason Ja Morant is great is because he plays with joy and fun and a carefree attitude and a fearlessness. You can't take away what makes a player great. So there's no shut up and play.
God, he is so polarizing. For all the fans that you think listen to the podcast and watch them, I can give you 50 million fans who would tell you the same thing. Enough already. So he is a polarizing athlete. Sure, there are certain younger fans especially that like to hear him play. I'll give you a large segment of older fans who have followed the NBA for 60 years, this is not a political scenario or a race situation, who have followed Wilt and grew up as a Knicks fan, who loved Clyde and loved Reed and loved the Pearl.
I disagree with you on that. I'm not saying it's a race situation. I'm saying that the fans you're talking about, they talk about athletes that way, like you just talked about an athlete.
I think there's a lot.
The people on Fox News talk about athletes that way.
Well,
that's my issue.
And Fox News
that's my issue. I don't actually care about the fans that watched Bob Cousy play or watched Wilt play. I don't care. I appreciate that they've been NBA fans that long, but I don't appreciate the undertone.
Hold on. Let's calm down. Because I'm glad you pointed out, JJ, that it's not a race thing. Because with Doggy, it's not. This dude.
No, I know that. I know that.
He's talking. You know, you do have old school fans that lament the fact that you got a lot of folks out there that are just saying enough already, like he does. Now, people like me and you, we think differently, but. There's a whole bunch. Let me tell you, I encounter it all the time. There's a whole bunch of Mad Dog Russos running around. I'm here to tell you right now. I mean, it's unbelievable. There's no question about it, right? And so what happens is that I don't agree with it. I support Draymond Green in this particular situation. Don't give the bird to the fans. But in terms of what he said, I appreciate that. And all your points were right on the money. The fact that people want to hear what he has to say, the fact that he's raw, he's authentic, he's intelligent, he's got a lot to say. I love that. And there's a whole bunch of athletes, highly intelligent, bring a lot to the table. And we should want to hear what they have to say. But you do have old school folks like Doggy and others who do look at some of these athletes and go like this. We're talking more about what you say than your game. And you do have some very select few athletes, and I won't bring up any names because I'm in a good mood today, who want to prioritize their intellect to such a degree that they forget what they promised the fan base they were going to give them. And so when you have a fan base that's out there that wants to prioritize your performance before they hear what you have to say, that's something that the athlete has to take into consideration as well. I get what you're saying. I think there's a whole bunch of.
Well, I know who you're talking about, but you can't say that about Draymond.
Of course, you know I'm not. I'm saying you know I'm not.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not saying that about Draymond. I'm not saying that about 99% of professional athletes. To be very, very clear, but I do believe that when you talk and you bring up what you hear on other networks, you do have a lot of old school folks in the middle.
Well, you were referencing some plays earlier. You weren't with us. Some plays in the past and some questionable decisions.
I don't know how you guys don't see it from a fan standpoint. I can go on that radio today and I'll get millions of calls. Chris, enough of Draymond Green. And I feel that way. And listen, he can say anything he wants. It's a free country. He can do all the podcasts he wants. Go ahead and do it. This is a free country. I have no issues with that whatsoever. And listen, from a fan standpoint, I mean, the shut up and dribble, you have an opinion. You can say anything you want. But I also have an opinion. And I don't want to hear Draymond Green at 1 o'clock in the morning after he flips the bird to the fans, after, he walked off the court. He wasn't walking off on a stretcher. He walked off the court, flipping bird to everybody and saying, well, I make $25 million. I don't care what they say. Calm down. Calm down. People don't want to hear that.
Kyrie Irving just got fined, whatever it was, $50,000. We'll assume Draymond gets fined another $50K on this one as well, in addition to the game one fine, to the flagrant two. I've been consistent. I think you've been consistent too. We had no issue with the Kyrie Irving thing.
No.
You said you had an issue with this. I
don't have.
I didn't even see. I didn't even see the audio on this until just now. So for him to say what he said about the concussion, Like he has a valid point.
No, I loved his explanation. I'm just saying it was just a preface. Like, you know what, you could have said what you had to say without doing it, but I'm not condemning him.
Yeah.
I understand exactly where he was coming from. I would not have done it. You understand? But I would have gave that I would have went off on the fans in the press conference and talked about how they came at me. You see blood coming down my face. I could have had a concussion. What kind of damn fan base are you? I would have said something like that without flipping the bird. But that's just a mere technicality. At the end of the day, I agree with Draymond in terms of his animus towards those fans for how they reacted towards him. And I disagree with Doggy when Doggy talks about, oh, enough already, I don't want to hear it. But there's a whole bunch of people out there that think about Doggy and think like Doggy does. And guess what? They ain't all in their 60s. They ain't even in their 50s. You got 20 and 30-year-olds that'll say about a particular play or a team they don't like enough already.
And not
you
only
do have that.
By the way, I understand how
Memphis
Draymond can annoy people.
Yeah.
I understand how Draymond can annoy people. In the same way, I understand how Dylan Brooks can annoy people.
Yes.
But again, we talk about an edge. Like Draymond carries that edge with him in his life. That's who he is.
Yes.
The idea of shut up and play. No. Shut up. Where he comes from. Yeah. He's a kid from Saginaw, Michigan. So just the notion. I'm going to take umbrage. The notion of shut up and play for any athlete, but specifically for Draymond, that's who he is. Mm-hmm. You take that. You take that with his greatness.
Now, you also can make this comment. This is in the heat of the moment. I don't think the Memphis fan really made anything bad by it, and they're spending a fortune to go to those games. And without those fans, you don't have a league.
And for him,
and
he's about to get stitches.
Fortune. An absolute fortune. Thousands of dollars to go to those ball games. Now, they ain't throwing anything on the court. You can't poo-poo that.
And that game was entertaining. And that game was entertaining. So they got their money's worth. They got their money's worth.
But if they want to clap when Green's walking off the court because he's hurt, they have a right to clap.
Let's get in a break.
And do that. He didn't throw anything on the court. They have a right to do that.
Let's get in a break. Healthy discussion. I think we represented all sides. That's